Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we've got some serious racing coming your way over the next 4 days from York. It is the Welcome to Yorkshire Ebor Festival. We're going to have 2 pods previewing 4 races each day. So that's a total of 16 races, not the usual best bets. And the next pod, incidentally, if you are looking for it or want to put it in the diary, that is coming your way at 5 o'clock on Thursday. That'll be for Friday and Saturday. So Nunthorpe and Ebor and all that business. This is going to be focusing on the first 2 days, Juddmonte International and the Yorkshire Oaks, which are the features there. But another 3 races each day for you. Joined by Adele Mulrennan. Hello, Adele. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. All good.
You're going to be at the track as of tomorrow, right? ITV.
As of Thursday. So Johnny Murtagh's there Wednesday, and then it's myself then taking over Thursday through till Saturday.
Johnny who? Quite right. And we've got Micheál Deasy. How are you, Deasy? Good to see you, pal.
Very good, Tom. Very good, Tom. Looking forward to it. Great week of racing.
Rixie, it's a proper week's racing, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. It's mega. Shame St. Mark's Basilica doesn't run, but yeah, it's going to be a big week regardless.
It is a great shame that there's no St. Mark's Basilica, as we know, but it does open up the Juddmonte International. We'll come to that. First things first, the ongoing Matchbook offer, just to bring you up to speed with that, if you're unsure of it for whatever reason. It is, of course, 0% commission on all sports for 30 days from when you sign up. So there's a lot of sports going on at the moment, of course. 0% commission on all sports for 30 days includes the football. The Premier League season is underway. All the great previews that the guys are putting out about that. 0% commission, all sports for 30 days. And that takes in this Ebor Festival as well. You must use the bonus code INSIGHTS, 18 plus, be gamble aware. Thank you to those of you that are listening on the podcast. If you're sat there listening away and you've got your phone in your hand or however you're listening, please to just give us a little subscribe and a review as well, and let us know what you think. We'll take all that on board. It's nice and important to us. DC is giving his thumbs up to those of you that are watching. You will see that. And if you are following us on the YouTube platform, then there again, give us a thumbs up, like an electronic one. Obviously, we won't see you if you actually do a real one, but give us an electronic thumbs up and subscribe on there as well, so you can stay tuned with everything that is going on as far as the Matchbook pods go. Right, we'll get into the previews. Remember, it's insights.matchbook.com for your cheat sheet, if you like. We'll put a column up every day for all the selections we have there. But here are the selections. Let's get stuck into them. So the first race we're going to be previewing is the Juddmonte International. Look, it's still a cracking race. We know there's no St. Mark's Basilica, but Mishriff, who actually very early days it was Love and Mishriff battling out for favouritism after declarations. I think it's about right now. 2.68 Mishriff. Love is 4.3. Alcohol Free, fascinating. They're trying 7.0. Mahafeth, after the disappointment at York last time, 7.8. Alan Kerr 13.5. Max Swinney is 22.0. These prices are correct at the time of this live broadcast. Adele, straight to you. If I could ask you about the ground first of all, because most importantly, you're near enough the track. So are you working on any rain materialising over the week, Adele?
It's raining today. It's raining at York Racecourse. It's supposed to stop around about now. It's only been light, but we did have some really bad showers last week and last weekend, and it's just left the ground a little bit holding. I don't think we'll get like nice summer ground. I think it'll be more like good autumnal ground. So I'd say it'll be on the easy side of good. There is no more rain forecast after today until the weekend. So I think it'll just be on the easy side of good, but it won't be quick at all.
Yeah, and the key there is going to be drying up all week, I think. But as you say, I'm sort of working on maybe slightly dead side or easy side of good. Who do you like, Adele, and why?
Who do I like? Mishriff. I mean, it's hard to kind of look past his brilliant run in the King George, isn't it? I absolutely love Love. I absolutely love her. Down at Royal Ascot, she's got such a character. She's a bit of a show-off, but I presume they'll go forward with her because she wants a nice, strong galloping pace, doesn't she? She's a galloper rather than she's a quickener. Interesting. I think the last 7 winners have all got one from the front. Not quite sure what David will do on Mishriff. He has obviously made the running. He's been ridden and held up as well. But I think Ryan will go forward on Love. He'll utilise his draw. He's not going to give up being drawn in stall 2. I think he'll go forward. Mishriff for the win bet for me. You know, his form with Adele is very strong, but I'm going to have a little play bet on a place bet with Juan Elcano because I love him. He's a lovely horse. He's a horse I've picked all season. He ran a brilliant race there at York last time out. Don't think the pace was very strong. I know Andrea said he wished it had gone forward, but I think if Love does, I think he'll just sit box seat. I still think there's a bit more to come from him, so I won't. You know, I'll have him for a little place bet. But Mishriff, I think he'll do the job on Wednesday.
Mishriff, the main play for you. We're with Mishriff, we're singing from a similar hymn sheet. But Rixie, I want to come to you next because you're keen on Mishriff. I know that you're best betting him on the day as well at that sort of price, I think. So go on. What else do you want to add to Mishriff?
Yeah, not much. I definitely think this horse is better with lead and a cover because he with a bit of cover he travels well. If you remember, as a 3-year-old, he nearly used to travel with his head between his legs. He was that kind of keen and likes to get on with it. So yeah, I think Adele said plenty about him. I just think if you go back and look at the King George and the way he quickened past Love on the home turn, going wider than her as well, and coming from behind her in the race, you know, it's hard to make the case that dropping in trip is going to suit Love more than Mishriff. But, you know, I have to say, I do think York is a factor. You know, York, a bit like maybe the straight track at Ascot, isn't for every horse. And, you know, we see lots of good horses beaten at York for whatever reason. I don't know why, because it's a very fair, flat track. I think sometimes it's maybe got to do with whatever ground they have there, if they've got rain on it. But, you know, in Love's favour, she's got form here at York. She was brilliant in the Yorkshire Oaks last year. And, you know, while the trip, I don't think the drop in trip isn't going to suit her as much as Mishriff, you know, that York kind of factor is a factor. But look, if there's one thing we know about Mishriff is he's very, very adaptable. He's probably one of the most amazing horses in world training, to be honest, to win basically what was a grade 1 race on dirt. And he's a multiple grade Group 1 winner on turf as well over different trips. You know, he's a beautiful, amazing kind of durable horse. So look, I'm hoping that kind of durability and versatility will continue here, and that York won't be an issue for him at all. So yeah, it's going to be Mishriff for me.
Just to pick up on what you said there, I completely agree with Mishriff. I think he is so versatile. I think this is more his trip for all. He won the Shima Classic, and he stayed on really well in the Shima Classic. But I think, you know, last time probably proved that something like a 10.5 furlongs is ideal for him. And also, you know, in his first start of the season, he was never revved up for it. He took a step forward for it in the Eclipse and ran really well in giving weight to Adele last time as a standout 3-year-old. That's the best form going. But I think this will probably be where he's most cherry ripe for this season. And it's obviously great for him that St Mark's Basilica doesn't line up, because it gives him the favourites chance. I can't argue that he's massive value necessarily now he has been supported, but I think it's about right. And I just wanted to add Max Swinney into the equation, who, I mean, I wasn't really interested in as a horse until I saw the price. I think that's a silly price about a horse who doesn't stay 1.5 miles. Jim Bolger has admitted to as much, for all he was slightly surprised. He actually said subsequently he did think about dropping him back to 1 mile. His Poetic Flair Irish Guineas form is rock solid. The fact that he's not going to be rattling quick is a plus, and he just hasn't stayed at 1.5 miles the last twice. I thought he was a fair price, and I'd definitely be having a go win and place on Max Swinney, but Mishriff 2.68 is the main selection. Deasy.
Nice one for stealing my Thunderland Max Swinney there, Tom.
Well, what I did was I read it in the group chat, and I thought quite like that. So yeah, I've just jumped on your bandwagon. Good shout.
We both tipped him up a few times, in fairness, so I can't claim that. Yeah, but I thought he was a massive play at the price, and I think that he would probably go out and sit behind Love in the lead, if not take her on. And like Jim Bolger has a great record at this festival in particular as well over the years. Like, he knows how to prep a horse for it. I see no reason why Max Swinney won't stay the distance. The Siren and his Dam Sire are both very good at this kind of distance. Bit of giving the ground will be perfect. I don't think even if it's firm ground, that'll be in his favour. I think he's he's a cracking winning place bet. I could definitely see him holding on for second anyway, because he's going to be tough out. And the other bet I was considering, I was probably trying to be too smart with this one, but I was thinking of place Laying Love. Now her prices drifted a good bit. She was probably 2.8, 2.9 yesterday, and I was looking at that. But I think after her last run, there was a few people said, including Urix, I think that was her first time taking on real Grade 1 horses, really, really good horses, and she was beaten fair and square by both of them. She had no excuse. She had a pacemaker. She had perfect place all the way through the race, and I thought she was very easily beaten by him. And dropping back in trip, she's going to have to go out and probably make her own running today. There's a few of these horses that'll definitely be held up and will come late, like Mishrif Mohaffed even. I don't think he could be ruled out. I think he gave himself a bit too much to do the last day, but they'll all be coming at her towards the end of the race. And if you get past her, maybe Ryan won't kill her to be finishing second or third. So if you could place They Love at about 1.8, I would have a small bet on that. But I'd be more probably going for the place bet of Max Sweeney with a small win as well.
Okay, so you place Laying Love. There's 7 runners, but with the matchbook market, D, so will we still be looking first 3 in that, or no? Or we'll be back to first 2?
That's a good question. I don't think that's up yet. I'd be laying win anyway for 2 places. That'd be the one I'd be aiming for.
Okay, so Laying Love for a place, and Max Sweeney, the main play for Deasy, win and place. None of us basically we're all loveless on the Matchbook podcast. Anything to add to the Juddmonte International, the feature?
I do think we should give Alcohol Free a quick mention, because she's very good, and I think she, in terms of just pure talent, she's definitely good enough to win this race. Obviously, the obvious question is the trip. The way she travels in her pedigree wouldn't give you massive confidence that she'll stay. But, ability is probably should be your first starting point in every race you look at. And in terms of ability, getting £3, getting the 3-year-old weight allowance over this trip, but it is weight for age, obviously. If she stays, I think she's a big price. And if you do like her, I think she'll trade a lot shorter in the run. So you could back her and get out in running on the Matchbook exchange, the finest exchange in the world, obviously. And I think that is an option for people. So she was too good enough not to get a mention.
That's an interesting shout. And Jeff Smith's got history of throwing arrows at this. His last Sussex winner went on to contest this, and of course he caused the surprise with Arabian Queen beating Golden Horn somehow a few years ago. So I think it's an owner-led decision to do this, definitely. But she's interesting. All right, let's kick on from the Juddmonte International. We're going to go back in time to the opening race of the day. And we've got Twilight Call. This is the 5.5 furlong sprint handicap. We've got Twilight Calls at 8.4. When the Dealing's done, 9.2. Hurricane Ivor at 9.6. Pendleton 11.5. Desert Safari is 11.5. And it's 15.0. Mondo Mage Live in the Moment and Bigger the rest. If you give me any bigger prices, I'll happily tell you, or any selections at Bigger, I'll happily tell you what prices they are. So a couple of shouts for When the Dealing's Done. One of those is from you, Deasy, so you can kick us off this time.
Yeah, there's actually been a massive gamble on this horse since yesterday. He was nearly twice the price, and now he's almost joint favourite with Twilight Calls. Now, one of the reasons I picked him out is because the price was wrong yesterday. He had very impressive the last time at Goodwood. The race worked out very well for him, but he quickened away very well to win. And I thought that he was yesterday. I think he was 14 or 15.0. Now he's 9.2. I'd still say he's a bet. And the other horse was in that race as well as Twilight Calls. Just gambled on for the race at Goodwood. I think that's something you really have to take notice of with Henry Candy horses. Didn't quite have the clearest of runs. Stayed on well. Maybe the ground was against her. So again, these prices are quite short. I'm not going to be piling into this race, but so I'd probably have a small win and place bet on board of them.
Small win and place on When the Dealing's Done and Twilight Calls at the top of the market. Adele, When the Dealing's Done for you?
Yeah, I was. I thought I picked one out, a massive price. I was really pleased with myself. I was gutted to see all the money come already. Since he's been gelded, that seems to have kind of made the big improvement of him. Best form this season is over 5, but he has one over 6. I think that'll be fine. Win and place on him. And then Pendleton, because I really like Pendleton, and I liked him for the Wokingham, but I think it was just, although he doesn't mind soft ground, I think it was just too soft for him there that day. Over 6 furlongs at Ascot, down at Royal Ascot. So Pendleton is still one that I think still got a bit of improvement to come. He missed all of 2020. I really liked him when he won at York this season. He's a gorgeous looking horse. He's got that course form as well. Michael's horses are in good form, and he's big enough price to have a play at the place market. But I will be doing both of them, win and place, Pendleton and when the dealing's done.
And the stalls, they come out of 16 and 20, and I was definitely looking at those of interest because there is a bundle of pace up high for all. You've got Ornate Low as well, so that could make it interesting. Rixie?
No, I'm gonna sit this one out and take my medicine. Every time I back a horse on the straight track at York, I always manage to see him on the wrong side. So, and plus, to be honest, I do a lot of my betting between 7 furlongs and 12 furlongs. So, in general, so yeah, I'm going to sit this one out, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. You did actually put that on the form, but I just for some reason came to you. I just wanted to hear that.
If you were a professional, you would have had a look what we all said. First you've seen Deasy's tip, and now you're not even reading my notes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I thought there was a horse called No Bet. That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
If you are wondering,
there's a couple of Nick Luck podcasts now, and it's all gone to his head. It's terrible.
I will reference the knocking in the background just because we can hear it ever so slightly. It's not a slightly cheeky housemate, is it? It's actually some work going on.
Yes, it would appear Bebop and Rocksteady are next door giving the house a trimming, but yeah, it literally only started 10 minutes before we went on. So yeah, lovely. Sorry about that.
Look, it's lunchtime. People are on their breaks.
No, did you think something else was going on?
It is actually housework. Right. Oh, it's me, isn't it? Right. See, I've stitched myself up. I'm going to put up 2 horses either side of the track. The first one is Hurricane Ivor, who could be an absolutely stonking bet. Basically won at Sandown, even though it was officially a dead heat. But I mean, won. And then went up £5 for that. And then won his side by about 4 lengths at Ascot, and then went up £3 as a result of that. Ran off 100 in the Stewards Cup, where William Haggis was adamant the soft ground wouldn't suit, and it didn't. Now, better ground is definitely going to suit. I know he won on good to soft, but I think just a sound surface is what he wants. And honestly, he could be well ahead of a mark of 102. I think he's a really, really good sprinter, lightly raced for the yard. And there have been obvious excuses really on his last 3 starts. So I definitely want him on side. And the other one, there's a lot of pace up high, and I wanted to back a closer up high, and then I just came down on El Astronaute, who I know is likely to go forward, but won this race a few years ago off £1 lower and was 21.0, which I thought was just a bit silly, to be honest, given the ability we know he's got, the liking for the track. I've always thought he's better on a sounder surface, but we'll see. His last win came on good to soft, so. And he bumped into Lord Ridderford last time at Goodwood, where he's got a good record. I think, probably El Astronaute be a slightly bigger, be a 75-25 ratio place bet to win bet. That's everyone, isn't it? We move on to the second race on the day. So this is the 225. Prices are as follows. This is the Acomb. Debarwi Legend is 3.35. Iraz 3.7. Noble Truth 3.7. Imperial Fighter 7.6. Royal Patronage is 15.5. And the horse that Hugo Palmer's been banging on about, even when Ebro Rivers won the first Group 1 of the year, is Debarwi Legend, about how he says he thinks he's his best juvenile. For all the other one is his quickest. And Adele, you're sticking with Debarwi Legend.
Yeah, I've watched all these back, all the replays, because they've put up nice performances, all of them. So I was trying to find which one I thought was the better one, and I was very much more taken with Debarwi Legend, more on his attitude, I think, more than anything, because at Doncaster it wasn't a very strong race, and a few of them were a little bit keen. He wasn't bothered, he seemed to handle it well. He was in the bridle, but he wasn't overly keen like a few of them were. He got a little bit of a bump at one point when he was asked to quicken. Didn't phase him. A lot of juveniles would have kind of half curled up, put the head up at least something, but he didn't. And then as soon as he was asked to quicken, he did. He did the job nicely. I think he's got a lovely attitude, very straightforward, and I think that's what you're going to want at York. A couple of the others, I just thought they just had the head a little bit too high for me. And then I thought, Eraz, I think, is he maybe better over 6? I'm not sure. I did look and see all the previous winners had all won over 7 before going into the race. So I think that's a something to take note on. So yeah, I think Dubai Legend, he's the one I think has got the nicest attitude coming into the race. I think he's put the nicest performance.
Yeah, and he's well entered up as well. Got a champagne entry, for example. Rixie, come to you next.
Yeah, look, this is a really interesting race. You've only 5 runners. I think potentially you can maybe look elsewhere for Royal Patronage. I'm not quite sure he's good enough, but he's the sole kind of pace in the race. I think you're going to need a professional juvenile here, because I'm not sure they're going to go quick, and it could get a little bit messy. And you're going to want a horse that doesn't pull his head off. For that reason, I'd probably be against Noble Truth, just because he can be quite buzzy. And then look, the other ones I do my own ratings, and between Dubai Legend, Noble Truth, Eraz, and Imperial Fighter, I've only got £4 between them, which is very little over. It's basically just more than a length over 7 furlongs. So just in terms of a pure value bet, I'm gonna stick up Imperial Fighter. I was pretty impressed with what he did at Goodwood. Completely contrasting ground now, but Andrew Balding's knows he's got a couple of decent juveniles this year, mainly Berkshire Shadow. I think he knows where he sits with his juveniles, and it's interesting he's pitching him in from a maiden straight into Group 2 company. So and he's nicely bred as well, Imperial Fighter. So I'll stick him up. Got the champion jockey to do the steering. So yeah, this is just a pure value bet. I would have all 4 in the betting, a lot kind of closer, maybe kind of 3-1 the field, something similar like that, maybe 7-2 the field. So yeah, just in terms of pure value, I'll put up the Balding horse.
Okay, he's in flying form, isn't he? Got some nice 2-year-olds as well this year. I can't find a bet at the prices personally. I may have been closest to Noble Truth at 3.7, but I can't quite do it. But I know a man that can. Dees. He can't unmute himself, but he can. I linked in. I was so happy with the link in as well.
Yeah. Sorry, lads. Yeah, desperate. Right,
that's taken the wind out of his sails, isn't it? Is he going to come back from that?
Noble Truth.
Probably because he was going to tell Noble lies, but anyway.
Okay, right. So Noble Truth, as Rick said, he did pull the head off himself in that maiden at Newmarket, but he finished behind Lucille. He finished ahead of Johnny Gosling horse called Al-Shref, and behind a John Gosling horse called Find, who I know are fairly highly rated. He came out then a month later at Newmarket again, and he beat Eraz by 2 lengths. I thought he won fairly well. He seemed to sort out his problems, and he has been kept fresh for here. Now, as well as that, I was looking at the trainers as well, and Hugo Palmer has only had 1 juvenile winner at York from 26 runners. Richard Hannon has a much better record, but Charlie Appleby I think he's 8 from 20. You're never going to go broke back in Charlie Appleby runners at York, but especially as juveniles, I think that he will be well wound up for this race, and I'd be happy enough to take him at the prices. 3.7. He's actually drifted a small bit. There's been money for the Bowie Legend, but I'm happy enough to take the bigger price.
You wait for somebody to tweet out now you said that. Level stakes win-loss. Charlie Appleby juveniles at York is actually minus 35.
I can actually tell you that there now. If you just give me 2
seconds. I wouldn't, because I doubt it's going to be in the plus.
I think it is. By the way, there now.
Is it?
What a sneery tone that was from Stanley. Bloody hell.
No, it was.
Enjoyed that.
For a £1 stake, you would be up £4, and it's 7 from 20. 7 from 20, not 8 from 20. Before you start tweeting me,
you're not going to go broke. Backing Charlie Appleby juveniles at York.
Yeah,
I'm going to definitely get that into a racing TV broadcast next week. Thanks, Dees.
Yeah, come on.
Lovely. Adele, you can use it for ITV.
I think I will if you don't mind.
Thanks very much. Are we all done, Acomb? We are. Let's kick on. Last race on Wednesday we're going to be looking at. And it looks a little bit like this. It is the Great Voltigeur. Kamari is 4.1. Not going to go broke backing Charlie Appleby, 3-year-old geldings at York. Salukin is 4.7. High Definition is 4.9. Third Realm is 8.6. Yearling is 11.0, as is Youth Spirit. 18 is the Mediterranean Scope, 28.0. Good race this. Interesting race this. I'm interested in Rixie's selection here. Because he was my horse to follow this year, and I've been disappointed. So take it away, Rixie.
I just think Yearling is definitely, just in terms of ability, he is without a doubt the most overpriced horse in the race. The problem with him is last time he looked like mentally he was going wrong again. He just ran too keen under William Buick, and then Buick he got sick of it and he let him stride on as well. And the part where Buick let him stride on was actually the quickest part of the race. So on soft ground, which ground he wouldn't like. So it was no surprise to see him kind of running on empty at the end. It's interesting though. Oh God, Beavis and Butthead upstairs again. You can hear that bad, can't you?
No, I was laughing. I was laughing at the fact that Deasy has put Charlie Appleby plus 12.3 with 3-year-olds at York.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
8 from 37. Sorry, that for the podcast listeners that and everyone else, it's in the private chat. There you go. Rixie, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, look, in terms of value, I think he's overpriced. It's interesting though that the hood is going back on him. I think he actually wore a hood on his juvenile debut, so he's always had that little bit of flightiness in him from the start. He made a absolutely brilliant seasonal debut this year behind Alinquer and the Derby winner Adele in the classic trial at Sandown. Lost his way a bit after that. Mentally he just went completely bonkers, and he needed gelding. To be fair, he was so keen the last day at Goodwood, it looked like they needed to geld him again, but I'm not sure that'll do. You can do it again. But the hood is going back on, and if James Doyle can just get him back on his hocks early, get him settled, there's a little bit of pace to run at, get some cover. I just think he's got far more gears than the likes of Third Realm, the Mediterranean, Sir Luke, and High Definition. So yeah, I just think he's overpriced. It's probably it's not a solid bet given what he did last day. He kind of chucked the race away, but if Doyler can just get him back onto his hocks and get him cover and get him settled in the first half of the race, I think he'll play a big part at the end of it. So I'm going to stick with Yearling because look, to be fair, the gelding operation did work, because 3 starts ago, he was well backed to win at Newmarket, and he was very impressive. For a horse who stays 12 furlongs, he had some pretty smart closing sectionals as well that day on quick ground. So he's getting back on quick ground again. He can't run in the ledger because he's a gelding. So, maybe this is going to be his ledger. So, I'm going to stick him up. He's 100% overpriced, but he's, obviously there is a chance he could end up pulling his race away again.
He's my selection. I don't have much more to add. I followed the horse since the start of his career. I was at Newmarket where he made his debut behind Master of the Seas. Loved him. He did wear a hood that day. I wondered if he was in the race initially as a pacemate, as one to go forward and ensure a decent test for Kamari. But the fact he's got a hood on for the first time, I'm convinced they won't go forward. I think it's a massive plus that Doyle is back on board. No disrespect to William Buick, of course, who's had it. He's riding better than I think he ever has at the moment. But I quite like that Doyle was on board when he won at Newmarket, and he's back on board again. I spoke to William Buick at Goodwood about him, and he said, yes, he's been gelded, but he is by no means still straightforward, and he can still hang and be tricky, which we saw. So yeah, he's not a max bet, but I think he is definitely the overpriced one in the race. So that's your beard done, and you're backing Scope as well, Rixie.
I just want to have a look at what the market says about him, because the market has completely forgotten that he ran quite well in the Linkfield Derby trial, which obviously had the Derby winner in it. But I think he just hated the ground that day. He didn't convince anywhere in the race, and I just think given the way he moves and the way he moved so well at Newmarket on his seasonal debut, I think the ground was too soft for him. Obviously, look, it's a big concern we haven't seen him since, but you know, he's going to be far more at home on potentially quickening ground than maybe the likes of High Definition. You know, Sir Lucan, I don't think has a change of gear. I think he's a proper kind of ledger type, could be vulnerable on kind of quickening ground. And the same with the Mediterranean. And Third Realm, who I actually backed in the Derby, you know, he disappointed in the Derby. And, you know, while he ran well in the Gordon Stakes, he hasn't gone on again. And Youth Spirit is another horse I think was better with significant cut in the ground. So,
yeah, we know we know where he's at. We know what he's saying. He'll be back. Don't worry. He's going to tell that drilling to stop. Adele.
I'm sticking with Kamari. I think he's the one that showed the most progression. You know, he's only had 3 starts. He won the Queen's Vase. That's a race, obviously very much a stepping stone to horses that go on to be Group 1 performers. Just was a little bit worried. He's drawn 7. I just hope he doesn't get stuck out too wide. I'm wondering what he's going to do from that draw, whether he'll go forward. I thought maybe the Mediterranean might be the one to go forward. He's drawn 5. So yeah, just a little bit worried about where he's going to sit on him. That's my only worry of him. But I think he's the most progressive of them all. Very exciting, I think, Kamari. I actually can't wait to watch him again, to be honest with you. I can't wait to watch this race. And then Third Realm, I've just got for a little bit of a place because I think he's better left-handed and he's a gutsy little horse. And, you know, if you go way back, you know, he actually beat Adele, didn't he, on his Derby trial. So if he could run up to his very best, I can't see why he couldn't be in the first 3 either. So I'd have a small little place bet on him. But I think Kamari, I think he's the one to beat.
It's the Third Realm. That's very the left-handed angle. I hadn't really considered. Is particularly interesting, I think, because that Adele form is rock solid, isn't it? Place for Third Realm and main play is Kamari for you, Dees.
I'm going to take a fairly contrarian view now to everything that's been said so far. So I don't think Kamari beat anything at Ascot. I was looking back through the race. Oh, he won it very easily, but I don't think he has beaten any horse that has run behind him has won since. I think Wordsworth has been fairly well beaten in his last few races. I don't think Stoll has run. So I am going to take him on with the 2 O'Brien horses. I think High Definition, now that he's obviously drifted, but I think High Definition is probably the best horse in this race. He just he ran fine in the Dante, but that was his pipe opener, and he ran an absolute disaster in the Irish Derby. They've put him away again. Now he didn't appear too late in the season last year, but his 2 runs were I thought they were fairly spectacular, particularly the Beresford Stakes. He just made up lengths and lengths in the last furlong with each stride. Like, I think he's a massive striding horse, and I think that, like, maybe today won't be the day, but I think he will definitely improve for this run. And if he's near full fit, I think he could run a cracker. And the other one then is Sir Lucan. I think Sir Lucan is one that has probably gotten better with each run of the season. I thought he was an unlucky enough losing out last time at Goodwood. He finished very strong. Another 2 strides probably would have seen him win. Frankie is on him as well. I think that's a big plus. I would fancy the 2 of them. Now, I was actually looking back through this race now. Aidan O'Brien hasn't won this race, I think, in 5 years, but he nearly always has the second and the third, or one of each. Like, so I am going to probably Dutch the 2 of them, have a small little bet on board of them. Won't be going in big in this race because I'm not too sure which will win it, and I'm afraid after I'm saying the Kamari beat nothing, Kamari could be brilliant. And Charlie Appleby, of course, is plus £12.30 for a level stake at 3-year-olds at York, and Aidan O'Brien is minus 57 or something. So I was talking myself out of my argument while I was making it. But I'm going to stick with the 2 of them. I still think High Definition will be the one to come out of this race, be the best horse though.
High Definition and Sir Luke and the Aidan O'Brien runners for you in the Great Voltigeur. Best bets time then for Wednesday. Adele, your best bet for Wednesday?
My best bet is when the dealing's done. Winning start, first day.
Love it. When the dealing's done in that sprint handicap. I'm taking you on. I like William Haggis's horse. I thought a fair price, which is Hurricane Ivor. So hopefully we're both in the places at least for that opening race. Rixie, your best bet?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple and stick up Mishriff.
Mishriff in the Juddmonte International. And Deasy, your best bet?
Noble Truth in the 225.
Noble Truth in the Acomb. That is Wednesday done. Don't forget, if you want any of the selections that the guys have put up, you can get them at insights.matchbook.com for our Insights column. We'll have one every day for you. Right, Thursday, we kick on to the Yorkshire Oaks. And prices are as follows. Unsurprisingly, at the top of the betting, you've got Snowfall. I'll give you a price very shortly. Snowfall is a 1.6 shot. Wonderful Tonight is 11. Let me try that again. Snowfall is 6.5. Ashada is 10.0. Loving Dream is 17.0. And then we're into the much bigger prices. Right. Is anyone out and out having a bet in it? Because I know, Rixie, you've put no bet but Snowfall wins. Adele, you put Snowfall. So, but would you actually, I mean, are you backing her, or are you just sitting back admiring?
Admiring, probably. She's too short for me to back. I'm really looking forward to seeing her. I can't wait.
Yeah, I second that. Although I think I can find an angle in. DC, you having a bet?
I'd have a bet off Wonderful Tonight. I think that, like, if it's going to be very good ground, she might be pulled out. So I'll wait until the day. But I think she'd be well worth the bet at. She's probably going to be about 5.0, 6.0. Just take her on. Wonderful Tonight is an absolute top class filly, and Snowfall, again, obviously she's been trashing horses, but they're her own age and she hasn't maybe meeting anything of Wonderful Tonight's calibre. So I'd have a small bet on Wonderful Tonight just to keep it interesting.
Fair enough. Wonderful Tonight for you, just to keep it interesting, 6.5. I suppose the point, like you say, is that she'll either take a chance on ground that will suit, or they won't bother because they've got, obviously the Arc is the main target for her. So Rixie, no bet Snowfall wins, but just to get a line on the race for you, is there, even in the without market, right? You wouldn't bother.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not convinced about anything. I think that Snowfall aside, I think the 3-year-old fillies over the middle distances are pretty weak, to be honest. And I'm a fan of Wonderful Tonight as a horse. You know, I think her durability and her toughness, especially given she never gives herself an easy race, given how hard she pulls. You know, she's a very admirable horse, very tough. And look, she's obviously good, but I don't see, like, she's the same price as Tarnawa for the Arc. I honestly don't know how that's possible. I think Tarnawa would just give her a windburn if she went past, if they raced together, to be honest. You know, she really would. So yeah, I think Snowfall's gonna absolutely bolt up. You know, maybe one to have a look at in the distance market if you want to have a bet in it, because I think she'll give this lot a pretty good hammering, to be honest.
I'm only going to have a bet because it's York and it's 1.5 miles at York, and or you know a distance race at York. And some horses get stung. Golden Horn got beat here in this race. The Gosden filly that won the Oaks a few years ago, his name's just flown out of my head. She got beat in this. So it does happen. She got beat by Tapestry that year. And I think Ashada is worth just she got a wide trip in the Ribblesdale. She ran really well. She proved herself on better ground, but I think this ground would be ideal. She's been very lightly campaigned, and Roger Varian's team are flying. So I thought she was worth. I'll back her in the without market, and I'll also have a small go at her in the main market. Only small, but I think it's worth just getting involved in, just because we know what can happen in this. I'll bring in Matt's comment there if I can. It just says, "What's Snowfall actually beaten?" And yes, to Gruder, Matt was the one I was talking about. Does anybody want to answer that? What has Snowfall beaten?
She's beaten nothing. She's beaten nothing. She's beaten listed horses at best, and I think she's been beaten listed horses who haven't stayed 12 furlongs. So
she beat Santa Barbara, I suppose, who's come out and won a couple.
Yeah, but Santa Barbara didn't stay. Wasn't even close to staying. You can't say she's beaten a horse who hasn't run their race. You know, it's not a form line. So I think she's beaten listed horses. She's done it very, very well. To be fair, she reminds me a little bit of what Love was doing last year, absolutely trouncing rivals, but essentially beating kind of listed class Group 3 horses. So, but look, don't get me wrong. So she's top class, and she's progressed with race, and she travels for fun. She's got a change of gear. So, but she was definitely flattered by that Oaks success, and then the Irish Oaks was just, it was a terrible race, to be honest. But look, she can only beat what's in front of her. So, but yeah, we'll see. The hype about her is, I'm reserving judgment in terms of seeing her as a 3-1 favourite kind of for the Arc.
It happens though, doesn't it? This, like, with these kind of races at that level, you always get the what have they beaten, but at that level it's so hard because we don't have as many horses around at that kind of level. So sometimes we do think, oh, what have they beaten? But it's more the way she does it, or more how she does it. I remember at York, and we were the first ones to say, oh, he got an easy lead out in the front. But then when I went and watched the replay again and watched it, and I was like, he actually didn't. It's just she's got such quality and she's got a great turn of foot. And it was the way she did it. She actually didn't get an easy. She did get an easy lead out in front on her own, but the more I watched it back, I thought, actually, no, she didn't. It was just nothing else would go with her.
She has beaten, she has absolutely hammered, and she may well do the same again. Looking forward to seeing her taking on some older fillies. She, as I say, is a warm order towards the top of the betting. Couple of selections going up then, with Deasy having a little bit on Wonderful tonight. I'll have a little go at Ashada. Let's kick on, or we'll kick back to the Lowther Stakes, and you've got Sandrine at the top of this betting, who is 3.0, 7.0 for Hello You. Same price about the Princess Margaret winners, Zane Claudette, 7.0. 9.5 for Desert Dreamer and Illustrating. And then we get into the really bigger prices. Straight back at you, DC. Who do you like and why?
I feel like I've done this race already a few weeks ago at Ascot to Princess Margaret. I'm gonna stick with the horse I put up that day, Desert Dreamer. I think she has had no luck the last few runs. The last time, I think she was just left alone out the middle of the course and maybe idled a small, but she got caught in the line by Zane Claudette finishing very fast, who was very impressive, I thought. And the time before that, she got stuck behind horses before she got to make a run and finish strong. So she's actually a nice price for this, I think. No, like obviously Sandrine is unbeaten, and there's some Ascot form in there, but just at the price, I think Desert Dreamer is well worth taking on. You could, like, if you're so inclined, you could have a win and place bet, or you could just go for a win bet. I mean, your place bet will cover the loss of your win bet if she only finishes second or third, and she's plenty of experience. Got the champion jockey on board. Lot to like about her, and hopefully she gets a bit of luck this week.
That was brutal watching. I was with her as well last time out, but she didn't quite get the job done. Rixie, you agree?
Yeah, I do. I just because I'm a huge fan of Sandrine. I think she's so good. I really do. But look, she's got a £3 penalty to carry, so that automatically makes life tougher for her. York is obviously a faster track than both Newmarket and especially Ascot. So this is going to kind of put more emphasis on speed again with a penalty, and I think that kind of emphasis on speed with a £3 weight pull is going to play more into the hands of Desert Dreamer. So yeah, but I'm actually gonna put two up in the race. I'm going to give another shout to Illustrating of Carl Burks and Daddy Tudhope. Loved what she did at Catterick on debut, and I think during the Royal Ascot pod, I think I actually put her up. I put her up here in the Queen Mary, and she ran very well. But that was the second day of Royal Ascot, and they watered obviously because the ground was quick. And I hate when they water the ground on the straight track at Ascot, because I think if you're drawn in the middle, I think it makes life tougher again. I don't know why. I think it's probably because the middle of the track gets watered properly and the two wings probably don't get the consistency. So I think the ground is slower in the middle. She went to Goodwood then last time out, and she was very good. She only won a conditions race, and this is a step up in trip, but Danny Tudhope, he finally got cover and a good lead with her, and I think it was a real help to her because she travelled strongly. She really travelled all over that field, and And I was surprised, given how well she went on ground at Catterick and at Ascot. I was a little bit surprised how well she handled the soft ground at Goodwood. Gets back on a quicker surface going up and trip. But look, she on pedigree, I just can't see that she won't stay. She's by showcasing, and she's out of Maid's Causeway, who we should also mention her pedigree. Maid's Causeway was a Group 1 winner. I think she won the Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot a few years ago. So, this filly's got an outstanding pedigree, and I think she's just starting to put it all together last time out, as we saw at Goodwood. And, the speed track, if you're going to tackle 6 furlongs for the first time, York is probably one of the best tracks to do it at. And just that ability that she'll have to travel comfortably in the early stages, I hope will allow her to get into a nice rhythm and allow her to stay late in the race. Whereas Sandrine and a couple of other horses, maybe Zane Court, Claudette, they might be just a little bit more flat out and won't get into a rhythm. So, I'm going to put those two up against Sandrine, but at the prices, but it's only because Sandrine's got the penalty, really.
So a couple of shouts there, the last of them being for Illustrating, and that's who you are liking, Adele.
Yeah, I mean, Sandrine's the one they've all got to beat on the form, but she's probably a bit too short for me. So I always look for something with a bit more value, and Illustrating's one that I think the 6 at York will be absolutely fine for her. Rick's already said she's got plenty of speed as well, so it's an easy 6 there. All the connections, Carl, Danny, and Club Logistics, they teamed up to win with a similar kind of horse back in 2019. I spoke to Carl, and he's always liked her anyway. He has always liked her, and so has Danny. So just at the prices, that Rick's has already said everything about her. So that's all I've got to add, is just that they teamed up in 2019 with very similar ones. So at the prices, I'd be sticking with her.
Yeah, that was with Living in the Past. I just looked it up. Did not have that on the tip of my tongue, but looked it up. So a couple of shouts for Illustrating. I'm going to have a very small win and place bet on Nymph Fedora, who I like is tackling this trip for the first time, who I thought ran perfectly well at Ascot when keeping on and shaping as though she'd probably want a bit further. And then she did well against the boys last time. She was the only filly in the race in the Molecombe, and she definitely was in the wrong part of the track. She was down towards the centre when the winner came up the rail. She wouldn't have won anyway, but she'd have finished closer. And I thought I was really surprised she was 23.0. Probably something about the fact that Andrew Balding also trains the favourite. But I think she is worth win and place having on side in the Lowther with 11 runners. Right, let's move on to the 225. And that is the Goffs Premier Yearling Stakes. Good luck, everyone. This is a brutal race. Fascinating race. Deasy, you got a couple, so I come to you first.
Yeah, two darts drawn. No, there's actually these are 2 horses that I've had in my tracker for a while. The first horse is Smullen. He actually went over to Naas for that auction race there a few weeks ago and ran it. He drifted from, I think, 51.0 to triple figure odds. I think he might have gone off like 120.0, but he actually ran a cracking race. I had him back to get with 4 places, and he finished 6th. But he ran very well. I think he just got kind of a bit lost out the middle of the track. Conditions changed a lot that day as well. It was lashing rain. It was dry in the morning, absolutely lashed rain. So I think the ground probably officially good. I'd say it was a bit slower than that. That might have affected him. But he's been unlucky there in 2 races as well. He's been beaten by a neck and 3/4 of length at Beverly and Hamilton. He's going to be a double figure price here. Just that Naas run, because I'd say that was a hot enough race. It always is that it's worth 150,000 euros to the winner. So I thought he ran quite well there. I'd put him up winning place. And the other one is the Richard Hannon horse, O'Herbert's Rain. Now, he was fair. He came up against Alan King's horse, Asymmetric, on debut. No, Asymmetric was odds on, but O'Herbert's Rain was the best back horse in the race. He was actually back from, I think, 8.0 into about 5.0. But through his last race at the start, fell out of the stalls, just ran very green, stayed on at the end, but never had hope. Went up to 7 furlongs the next time, same thing at the start, just fell out of the stalls. Last race, stayed on, but he ran only a few days ago at Newbury over 7 furlongs, and I didn't actually back him that day, because he was a big drifter in the market, but he ran a great race. He got out of the stalls perfect. Led, tried to make all, was only run down in the last couple of yards by a John Gosden horse. I thought it was a good run. Richard Hannon he's got a great record in this race. He's good few horses in it. Like, I mean, if you don't listen to any of us, all you have to do really is watch for the horse that's gambled on and back it. There will be at least one or two horses in this that are going to be well punted. That wouldn't be a bad idea. System at the top of the market looks very good, and he's in the mum's typical colours as well, I think. So he could end up going off very short. But Herbert's Rain is, again, he's a double figure price. I think he's 12.0.
Much bigger. 21.0 and 13.0 for your first shout for Smallam.
Happy days. A little winning place on board of them, but this is an incredibly hard race.
Adele.
I do what Deasy's already said. I usually wait to the morning and see where all the money comes. That's usually the best way. But the ones I've picked out, System, like, she was progressing really, really well, wasn't she, until she ran a little bit under par at Ascot the time before. Corker, though, I think Carl's done a good job with this horse. He pushed Project Dante quite close on his debut as well. Didn't beat much at Thirst last time out, but I think it was purely just a kind of he'd had a freshen up after Ascot, and I think it was just a matter of trying to find a race to get his head back in front. So I think it's more like just kind of freshened up, job done with him. But he won very easily. Carl thinks a lot of him. Carl comes racing quite a lot in Yorkshire, so I always get time to have a chat to him about his horse, and he's always very helpful. That was a matter of just getting job done with him, get his head back in front, and I think there's a bit more to come with Corker. But System, Richard Hans won the race 4 times, hard to look past any of his horses. So I like her based on her runs before Ascot, and then Corker, I think there's still a little bit more to come, but I would be waiting to see where all the money comes in the morning.
5.5 for System, 6.5 for Corker. Rick, see you as System?
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it simple in this race. System. I actually backed her the last day at Ascot in the Princess Margaret. I fancied, she beat Desert Dreamer at Newmarket in the first start, and I fancied her to uphold the form, but she was a bigger price. But again, sometimes you see with that straight track at Ascot, some horses just don't take to it. She seemed to quicken 3 up, but then her closing 2 furlongs, she just didn't seem to go on. I don't know. I don't think she was at her best. Even Pat Dobbs kind of quite early in the race looked to be kind of squeezing her along and just kind of changing his hands on her. So I don't think she was at her best. And before that, this filly could have been running in the Lowther and easily would have been single figures, to be honest. Or in a Group 2 race, she won't get the filly's allowance. But if I'm right, and she was nicely below par, and there was something wrong with her that day at Ascot, and she kind of progresses again at York, I think she could take a bit of beating here. She's a really fluent moving horse, but she cost 80,000 as a yearling. By Galileo Gold, is obviously having a great season. He stood for $5,000. So physically, it sounds like, there's plenty to like about her. Really fluent mover. I can see this flat track and kind of nice ground suiting her. So, and as Adele already said, Richard Hannon's record in this race over the last 5 or 6 years is pretty insane. I'm just going to mention one horse, just because he's got blinkers on first time and he's been gelded as well, because I think he showed a fair amount of ability on debut at Ayr, but obviously he was beaten at 4-9 then on his second start, and he hasn't gone on. But he's got the blinkers on, as I said, and he's had the cruelest cut of all, as Jason Weaver would say. And that just could make the difference. And Kevin Ryan has a decent record in these sales races, and that's Monsieur Jumbo. He's by Caravaggio, out of a horse called Pretty Darling. So, he's nicely bred. I think the step up or the 6 furlongs will suit him fairly well. And, if those blinkers and the gelding operation has just concentrated his mind on debut, he looked like he could be a potential kind of conditions pattern horse. He hasn't got on since, but, obviously, as I said, though, that aid, the 2 aids, the loss of 2 and the addition of 1, hopefully will could spark him back to life at a huge price.
51.0 for Monsieur Jumbo. I'm going to have a small win and place go on a horse that is drawn high, because there is plenty of pace there. That's Ardeb, who was at the wrong part of the track at Goodwood last time. That's kind of my angle in. yeah, and Richard Fahey's got a decent record in this race as well. But I made a note of a few horses that I just don't think were suited by where they raced at Goodwood, and he was definitely one of those. I don't know whether he's good enough, but he's 21.0, so I will play to find out. Right, couple of minutes to preview the last of the races we're going to be getting stuck into. This is a tricky little mile handicap. Again, it's big prices the field, so rather than run you through the prices, just give me your selections and I will tell you what prices they are, if you don't mind. Adele, starting with you.
Escobar. I'm hoping it's big enough to play at both markets.
15.0 Escobar.
Right, yeah. He's well capable of winning a race like this horse.
He's fun to watch.
It's definitely fun to watch. If you put your money on him, your heart will be in your mouth because he needs all the luck, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely needs all the luck. Escobar for you at 15.0. Rixie, you've got a couple on side. Oh, unmute yourself. Yeah.
Sake. Had an absolute nightmare on this pod. I shouldn't even get paid for this one. I'm going to pay you guys. Have a charity or something. Anyway,
you get paid. Right, go on. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm going to put up two horses with York form. Le Trinidad winning place. I think his chances, obviously, he's to the front of the market, but he impressed me how he picked up last time out. You know, he really did kind of cruise through the race, and jockey, I think it was Rowan Scott, rode him, didn't have to get too serious with him until maybe in the last 100 yards. Just looks a progressive horse. 4-year-olds do well in this race. Another 4-year-old with York form is Irish Admiral. Hasn't gone on, but I think he can go. This might be his day if he gets a bit of pace to run at.
I'm going to follow you in with Irish Admiral, definitely, who he didn't seem to stay the 10.5 here. But I think a mile is exactly what he wants. I know it's been, I don't think Epsom suited. Not sure he liked the really quick ground subsequently either. So I think this should be just about ideal for him. Definitely too big a price at 21.0 based upon what he showed a few starts ago here. And the other one I want on side is Astro King at 9.5, who finished lame last time. But I do think he wants to drop back to a mile. And I don't worry about the wide draw here because you've got the whole straight to sort yourself out. And it's been won by horses that have been drawn very high in the past. Deasy.
Yeah, I was very sweet on the Trinidad until I saw the price. I put him up the first, I think his first run this season when he finished 6th behind Kinron at a massive price, and he ran fairly well, and he's after winning twice since. I did back him both times, so I'm just pissed off at him now. But I thought he'd be a bigger price. He's a nice horse. He's got a great chance. I thought Magical Morning, John Goslin's horse, he ran no race last time at Goodwood. I'd say he just got stuck on the ground, but I thought he was pretty good at Sandown. John Goslin isn't the one to waste the handicap mark, and he's not throwing too many bullets at York in the first 2 days. I think this is only his second run of the meeting when he gets out there. But I think he's a good horse for all. He is near the top of the handicap. And another one. This is a bit from left field now, but there could be something going on here. A horse called Tamani from David O'Mara. He used to be with William Haggis. He was rated 97 at the end of his juvenile campaign. He ran in a few listed races. He won actually a listed race over in Deauville, and he was sold to France. Then nothing really happened from France. He was gelded, and he was actually bought at the start of July, I think, by Gallop Racing for David O'Mara. David O'Mara won this race a couple of years ago with Firmament in these colours. I think he's just a very interesting one. David O'Mara is definitely going to have at least one plot job than the spoils this week at York. He's going to be a double figure price. I think if the money comes from, he'll be even more interesting. But I think he's one to keep an eye on just to see if there is money for him. If today is the day, but. I thought he was one that just caught me eye going through him. This is a tough race. Magical Morning will be the main one, and have a little saver on Tamani if there's money on him.
Right, best bets for Thursday. Adele, starting with you. Who's your best bet?
Escobar.
Love it. Brave, 15.0. Dees, your best bet?
Desert Dreamer, win place.
Desert Dreamer, win in place. Rixie?
I'm going to go the last race, the Phillies handicap. horse of William Haggis's team, who are in seriously good form, Spirit of Bermuda. That form at Newmarket, I think, is red hot. She looks well handicapped. There's a couple of horses in the race that ran behind her that day. And for the sake of my kind of sanity, I might have a couple of savers on those because I do rate that form very highly.
Spirit Bermuda. I'm going to go a different race as well. Harrow in the 410. There aren't prices at the moment, but it's a 16-runner nursery, so we're not going to be looking at a smash up at the top of the market. I think that horse now in nursery company is very interesting. Harrow in the 410.
Can I just take up one more horse as well for Wednesday that I forgot to give a mention to there? I just tweet in 445. She's the 5 furlong fillies handicap. She's the top rated horse in the race, but she will love good ground, and I could see her bolting up at about 6.0, 7.0.
Tweet that is.
Tweet. Declan Carr's horse.
Lovely stuff. Dees, anything else? Anything else you want to get
No,
off your
that's
chest?
it. No, Tom.
You sure?
That's it,
You
no.
happy? Okay. Anyone else? Everyone good?
Oh, good.
Yeah, just
Love it.
Sorry for my terrible internet and my in-house builders.
Don't ever apologise. Your contribution is what we want, and winners is what we want, and you provide plenty of those. I sounded like that was insincere. It wasn't. It was genuine. It was so genuine. Adele, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you on the box from Thursday. DC, thank you very much. Top man. Anything else you want to get off your chest, DC? No?
No, we're going over the hour now, so we better finish up.
Good man. Rixie, thanks, bud. Pleasure as always. That is it from the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast. Don't forget to go insights.matchbook.com for all our selections over the first couple of days. And we look forward to seeing you at 5 o'clock on Thursday for Friday and Saturday's previews. Bye for now.